Okay, and we got a little bit of Unreal Engine news. I was just watching a video that they posted out, and at the very end, they were started talking about this. Now, previously, I would go into the marketplace and click on a button called free, and then there was one called free for the month, free permanently, and just free. Okay, I guess there was something or other. Anyway, what they've done is they've gone and collected all the stuff that I would be interested in and put it in one place. And they've added extra stuff. There's some learning resources. There's contacts with the Unreal people, so that you can. If I have a question now about something in the engine or how to do something, I can now directly with just this one area ask a question and more than likely get an answer if it's not something really wacky. Um, I was going to spend a couple of days looking at the Visual C++ 2017 package, getting a little more familiar with it, and then see if I could fix something so that other people could do some stuff. And if I was able to solve it, I could then throw up a pull request, and then you might see, something get fixed on a large scale for over half the Windows users. I mean, the Chaos system is really good, but you need Windows 10 at the moment, and that's a small market when you consider all the other platforms. You consider that 65-70% of the world's internet is Linux at the moment or Android. So you really want a solution that'll work across the board, and yeah, Microsoft is just, I think, trying to be whiny about it. But anyway, let me have a look here because it auto logs me in, so I get to see different things. So you got an email address for them to talk to. Um, this was something that was really touched on too. Is that there's these things called Epic Mega Grants, and when you see, like what I'm doing with YouTube is kind of interesting too because I'm making awareness of the things that they're allowing people to not only make games with, but make little TV episodes or little shorts, or they call them cinema, and in this thing you can do little things like this. You don't need to be making a game. And then when you get into the aspect of taking something like Blender, um, you can do even more. Okay, there was a live stream where a guy had made a mod that they were using in the live stream to do the rigging with, and when they realized he was there, they said you should actually apply for a mega grant because what you've done and given to the community basically for nothing is very helpful, and they like to reward that, and that's part of the whole thing. And the other thing is that they're trying to start get people to start up little communities based in little areas with the engine. And if you think, well, how many developers are there? Well, the last estimate a couple of months, about a month or so ago, was there are 400,000 people using the engine. Okay, so mucking around, hobbyists. See this, and he gets at a point where Epic started as a hobby, and a lot of the people involved started as a hobby. You got to start somewhere. The good thing is starting now versus say back in the Vic 20 days. There's a huge difference. Okay, back in the Vic 20 days, I didn't have any games. I had to write all my stuff. So and you get online services, and there's different things in this that are really neat, right? So I'll be checking stuff out here, and yeah, and the terms of service, as I read, was every quarter, if you make more than $3,000, you have to give them 5%. So if you make only $2,000, right, that's yours. Don't worry about it. They're not concerned about small amounts of money, right? In other words, you know what's so. So the minimum you're going to pay on a before they want to start getting money out of you is about $150 every 4 months. you know, so this is why I say, like this is they've got terms where if I just sold something for a couple of bucks, you know, then it doesn't really matter. You know, they go on the gross amounts, right? So if I bring in $100,000, 5% of that is like $5,000, right? That's nothing, right? Now that's not being in their store, right? Right. Now if you go to other stores or something like that, they want a higher percentage. So the terms are interesting to say the least. I think it works out to it comes down to if you know it works out to about a 12%, unless you're doing it on your own store, right? And they will da, 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 da. So if you want to buy out a license, right? They'll do something like that for you as well. There's different little things to do there. It's got everything in here. Pretty neat little website, right? Let me see here. I'll just sort of scroll down so you guys can see all the stuff in it. See, there's the mega grants. You got meetups. There's the marketplace, branding, right? Okay. There's online services, the game store, releasing your game. They talk about what would qualify you better to do it because it's heavily curated, of course, right? They don't want crap like Steam has in their store, basically. Um, and it's not like you need to have a really triple A, $100 million game. Like I've seen some games in there that were made with art. They got one game in there that was made with RPG Maker, just to showcase that if you make a decent game and they like it and it's fun, it'll get up there. That's just kind of saying, well, here you go. They gave that one out for free. That's kind of neat. So anyway, I thought I'd throw this up there. Um, this is kind of a newer thing where I'll be checking it out. Um, there's different, especially with the contact, because I want to get into some discussions about this Chaos engine. And see, Unreal is more CPU based than GPU. It'll use the GPU for when you're watching and playing your game, of course. But when you're making the stuff and compiling it, it's very CPU intensive. And if I have a 3.2 gigahertz computer, that's not as much of a difference between that and like a 4 gigahertz computer, right? Okay. And when people tried to tell me at one point when they were talking about cores, right, that each core was 4 gigahertz. No, it's not. Okay, you don't get a 32 core computer with 5 gigahertz on each core. Okay. First of all, you'd have the U.S. military wanting to know what you're up to with a computer like that all the time. Like seriously. Okay. That's why I say it's 5 gigahertz, and then they just divide up the cores amongst that. So really, what they're doing is they're making you're getting less of a CPU, but you're just getting them in smaller spaces so that you know I don't know, they can just slowly push this up a little bit more. That's kind of like what it is, and anyone says any different, they're not telling you the truth. 5 gigahertz computer is 5 gigahertz. Okay, it's not 16 cores times 5. It's not a 90 gigahertz machine. Okay, it's just not. However, when you have multiple tasks that have to run at the same time, that's when a multiple core computer can run better, and that's what this kind of is geared for. And now this kind of makes me think about, well, do I get a graphics card or do I get the motherboard? So I need both, right? And I think the first thing I'll do is get a better graphics card, because then that allows me to push forward on my on the games that I play, right? And that will help my traffic. And then what I show you can be higher quality too. I can move from 720p up to the 19 or the 1080p, right? All the time, and then the quality's there. Once quality's there, then I can look into that. So I'm looking about probably summertime before I get sit down, do some serious thinking about what I want to do, and I do want to do something like a little um, animated something or other story thing. And I already have the ability to run my own web server here and everything else. I've got a domain name, etc., etc. The idea is that you see the thing I can tell you is in Canada, all right, our copyright is 45 years less than the United States, which means I am open to a ton more in the public domain that I can play with, make stories for, and enjoy content. The problem is YouTube is American based, so therefore I have to go by that 95-year rule, right? So there's going to be some content that I will eventually be creating that won't be available on YouTube. It won't be available on BitChute or some of these other places either. You'd have to, and if you're in one of these countries that has 95-year copyright, I'm sorry, but you can blame Disney and the big wigs for having such extreme long copyright, and that's part of the problem of why I'm here at this point. It's because they no longer care. If they can make a Star Wars movie that is just utter crap and it makes money, they don't care. They'll just keep doing that because they make money. You know, like that's the reality. I mean, that Terminator movie broke even. That is pathetic. I mean, the first 20 minutes with all the CGI was fun to look at. And then when they killed uh, Connor, the son, I went, oh, forget it. I know where this is going. This is just stupid. And that 4 foot little hobbit girl doing the, oh, never mind. This is why I like CGI, because we're moving past the need for actors. Okay? And there's enough free music out there that we don't need to be dealing with the lawyery little music ass hats either. Okay? And this is where, you musicians have done yourselves in. Okay? I'm not kidding. If you're a musician and you listen to me, you gotta give to get. Okay? And there's a couple big guys on my channel that do some music and things, and I listen to their stuff and I enjoy it. But you got to remember, if you're doing your own stuff, if you want to get involved in projects like say something I'm doing or whatever, the terms got to be that when I release a game, that a streamer would be able to play your music, okay, on a streaming platform, okay? So that it gives the whole value of the game. Otherwise, I would go to the next musician until I get one that will do a deal like that. Because otherwise, it's no need. I'll just put free music in and then that's it, right? That's just a couple little asides on where you go with some aspects of developing things and stuff, right? Because YouTube's going to be making these new rules real strict, okay, on any copyrighted materials, right? And the things with memes and different things like that are going to just get into not using them now. And if you're going to go to another website like me going here, right? You better have somewhere down the lines written permission to be actually showing that link and that website while you discuss something, because if you don't, it's actually then a breach of the new YouTube rules. Okay? And I think it's going to stop a lot of these guys that complain about various SJW stuff, because and that's a good thing, because that's all they do is they're negative, right? Both sides are negative. So we're going to hear a lot less from both sides, which is, in my opinion, a good thing. However, for legitimate reporting of news, there are some news agencies out there that want you to pay in order to do anything. If you contact them, they'll say, well, if you give us $20 a month, we'll let you report on any of our news, kind of thing. That's what's going to start happening, and then people will just stop. And they'll go to places where that isn't happening. It'll just facilitate the end of these other companies quicker, which is good. The less people are talking about Box Day and his little issues with Steven Crowder, the better, right? I mean, etc. You know. So they've restored all my traffic. I'm able now to, apparently, to even run the old Diablo game that I started out with that got me so much traffic, and I'm just going to keep going with that for a little while. Go through the whole game and mess with it. It's a brand new game. I'll have to reorient my brain to it again, and yeah, I'm having fun with that. So I got other things in the background with some artists and stuff like that. I've got to, you know, do some things with, and we'll see what's going on. Anyway, we'll let you go, and happy gaming, and have a good day.